In the summer of 1941, Karp Lykov hastily took his family to the Aranat River in the upper reaches of the Bolshoye Bakken. At first, the administration of the Altai Reserve was not up to the missing family of Old Believers, especially that most of the foresters were drafted into the ranks of the regular army and there was no one to carry out raids on the territory. However, literally 2 months later, an order came to check all the remote cordons and hidden landings, in order to identify possible deserters and draft evaders. Together with the order, a whole detachment of Enk officers arrived to carry it out. The famous taiga dweller Danila Molokov accompanied the reserve from the reserve. The group, passing through the Kanuski cordon, entered Tishi, conducted a census and registration of all men of military age, and was especially interested in the fate of the Lykovs. Most of the inhabitants of the Zaimka answered that after Karp and his family left for Lebad, they had not heard anything about them. But the old foe of the Lykov family, Yermila Zolotayev, could not resist even here, so as not to insert their own 5 kopecks into their fate. He told the Enkveshniks that it was necessary to look for Karp with his family in the area of the Cairo River. After receiving this information, the detachment went straight to the indicated area. Danila Molokov realized that the commander of the detachment had an order to pick up the children without much ceremony. This is the kind of care about the younger generation, and parents should have been dealt with based on the situation. Fortunately, there was no repetition of the tragedy that happened to Evdokim. They really almost collided on the counter, from which the Lykovs had already left by the time Karp came to the former dwelling to pick up the remaining things. Having packed everything, he was about to leave when he saw armed people through the bushes. The distance between them was about half a kilometer, but the Hermit patrolmen themselves were not visible. At first, Lykov wanted to go to Aranat as quickly as possible and take his family to the taiga. But then Karp saw Molokov in the guide and decided to linger to find out what kind of people came after their souls. The day was drawing to a close, and the Hermit rightly judged that the detachment would stop for the night in their hut. Buried in the needles under one of the age-old cedars, Karp prepared to wait for an opportunity. Who introduced himself early in the morning when Molokov went out to collect the horses released for grazing. The conversation between long-time acquaintances was brief. Danila told Karp about the outbreak of the war and about the order to destroy all taiga settlements. But the same Molokov, who apparently understood both the psychology of the Old Believer and the mood of the patrol detachment, advised the Lykovs to leave for Tuva Yenisei, explaining that the territory of the reserve Noveshniki will comb through everything, precisely in order to find all the secret caches. At parting, the forester shared a handful of cartridges with Karp and the Hermit hurried to Aranat, returning home with all possible precautions so that, God forbid, not leave a single trace. Lykov told his wife about the alarming news and took them to the taiga, and he went to the fort through Aranat to check exactly where the squad will go. As Molokov promised, they headed along the Kurumchik River, past the secret dwelling of hermits. Karp secretly accompanied them for several kilometers and returned to Aranat reassured. Speaking of Lykov's desertion. Formally, yes, he was a deserter, knowing, as it turns out, about the outbreak of war. Another question is who he had to go to protect. The new government took away his entire family, endlessly persecuting the Old Believers and forcing them to choose between life and faith. In addition, Lykov clearly understood that without him the family in the taiga would not survive. And Karp could not take them to Tishi. With the formation of the Artel, the settlement was no longer a reliable refuge. Please share this video on your social networks, using the buttons under the video and subscribe to the channel. I ask you to go and watch other videos about Agafia Lykova, which you can see now on the screen in the end screensavers. There are a lot of rare and interesting facts about the Hermit. Thank you all for watching.